Welcome, welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. I am your minister, Reverend Darcy Roque, and it is a joy to be with you virtually. We are a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is a faith in action as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being. Well, now beforehand, many of you have seen, if you show up about 5 to 10 minutes early, you'll be able to see our beautiful announcements with beautiful music behind them each week. We also have a weekly email for announcements that comes usually on Thursday or Friday of the week. This week, you can sign up either box where our wonderful greeter, Marilyn Malone, will be putting some greeting information in to get information from us, or on our website, www.ccuunola.org. There is so much going on here in our community, from virtual porch sits to Thursday social hours to our Christmas pageant, of which we are asking folks to send in some wonderful video as they are able. So there's a lot going on, and we deeply appreciate your engagement in our community. And we love you and miss you. And so with that, here is another individual that I'm so excited to welcome to our pulpit today. I love very, very much. The Reverend Deanna Vandiver. Many of you know Reverend Vandiver, but Reverend Deanna was ordained in our congregation, Community Church UU, of the Greater New Orleans Unitarian Universalist cluster. Reverend Deanna served as the community minister for that religious collective and as co-director of the Center for Ethical Living, Social Justice Renewal. She currently serves on, she also was the interim minister at the West Side UU congregation recently as well. She serves currently on the Committee for Anti-Racism. Now, she did amazing work here in New Orleans for many, many years and made a family-inspired move to the Puget Sound region in June of 2018 and currently resides on Bainbridge Island, where she writes and moves us further into creative and collective liberation. Virtual services. We will have Reverend Deanna here at our pulpit with us today, and we are delighted that she will be joining us for several pieces throughout the service. And now also, many of you know that this fall is our stewardship campaign, where we are working to make sure that we have enough treasure, we have time, treasure, and talent to sustain our incredible work for our community, Church Unitarian Universalist, so that not only in this time are we surviving, we are actually thriving. And so it takes each and every one of you and your help with a pledge today, which we deeply appreciate, to move us forward for our next church year and all that we want to do and all that we're able to do. We know that this is a difficult time for some financially, and so any amount that you can pledge is needed and appreciated. And if you have been able to be financially stable in this time, we ask that you consider upping your pledge, because that helps our entire community move forward. Speaking of our community, it is a joy to have in person Al Malone, our Community Church UU member, and he is going to come forward and tell us a little bit about why he gives to Community Church Unitarian Universalist.
Thank you, Reverend Darcy. As you all know, I'm Al Malone, and my wife Marilyn and I have been attending here regularly for about the last 7 years. Prior to that, we were members, very active members of the North Shore congregation, starting in 1998. The time came when we just decided we were tired of driving across the bridge, across the causeway up there, and we decided we'd come on over here, where we also had quite a few friends. And we've enjoyed our association with this congregation very much. For one thing, it's the community where we live, so we do have some commonalities down here that we didn't have up there. Maryland do some social activities with them, but we're attending down here, and we feel as though we're very well integrated into this group. The money that it takes to run an organization like this is sort of, it just exists. We have to have a certain amount of money to pay the bills. We have to pay the light bills. We have to pay for the insurance. Luckily, because of good financial decisions that have been made in the past, we don't have a note on this place. We own the place outright, but there's upkeep that has to be paid for, and quite a few place could actually function. So that's ground zero, so to speak. I don't know what the number is, but if we take that number and we divide it by the number of contributors, who is you all and us, that we come out with a basic number that we have to average to stay in business. But we don't want to do just that, even though we have this horrible situation where we can't be together on Sundays. That's not going to last. In another year or so, we'll be back together, and we'll be back where we were, I hope. In the meantime, we need to pay the bills, and we would like to make some progress. For instance, we would like to improve on the music situation that we have with our services. We would like to continue some of the programs that we have, and probably purchase some electronic equipment so that we can continue to be online even when we get back together in person. We'd like to have it available to people throughout the world by the magic of electronic ministry. So Marilyn and I have talked about this. We've decided we'd take, what we do is we start out with what we gave last year, and we figure in whatever has transpired in the economy, and up our pledge a little bit for that. And we're guessing that we're going to have a little bit of, I won't say trouble raising funds this year, but there aren't people around as there usually are whom we could persuade. Let's put it that way. I understand that about half of the pledge money has been pledged for this coming year. So that leaves another half for us to do coming up. So please keep that in mind. Marilyn and I, when we realized this, decided we were going to up our pledge. So we set in another addendum to that, and we will be giving more money than we had planned to give this year for this coming year's budget because of this strange situation we find ourselves in. So here's hoping we can hold it together. We can enjoy each other's company online. Here's hoping that we will remain together and doing the wonderful work that this church has. Not the least, we're talking about our Reverend Darcy, product of Harvard Divinity School, a very talented clergy person. And she is the rock upon which this organization is built. So let's think about her as well and be thankful that we have her services, and hope that we can continue as we have been doing and work toward a day when we can be back together again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. That was beautiful. And we deeply appreciate all the gifts that you and Marilyn bring to our community. Thank you. And thank you all. All right. So let us begin our worship in earnest. We are going to actually be having a series of beautiful videos from Reverend Deanna. We're going to be first lighting our chalice with Cindy Scott's We Light This Flame music. And then we're going to be going into A Time for All Ages by Reverend Deanna. So thank you so much, Reverend Deanna, for providing that for us as well. And then another piece. So I will see you in a few minutes, and please enjoy these beautiful pieces as we move into our worship together.
We We light this flame to affirm the light of truth and knowledge, the warmth of love and community, and the fire of hope and commitment.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love.
Time for All Ages is adapted from a story about imagination by Megan Wunyutio. My niece has a brilliant and beautiful imagination. Recently, she told us all of a creature called a foofy. A foofy is tiny, so tiny it can fit in the palm of your hand. Its body is rainbow colored and its ears are brown. Its head is white and black and bright. Foofies eat grass and sticks and leaves. Foofies are cute. Foofies play with the other animals too. But only my niece can see the foofies. Did I mention she's 3? She's 3 and has a more active imagination than any other artist I know. She sees stories in the simplicity of her day and runs with them, spinning tales and creating characters, making magic out of the ordinary. When we're young, our imagination can know no limits. We see possibility where some adults may see none. We look at the world without a lens of limits. As we age, people begin to tamp down our imaginations. Slowly, it becomes tethered to the ground. Perhaps our imagination might end up getting locked in a box and the key thrown away. Maybe we tell ourselves that we don't need an imagination, that imagination is for those who don't understand real life. And yet, when you lean into your imagination, the world will open up right before you. If you hit a dead end, you can back up and head in a different direction. When you see that you're not growing more loving, you can lean into your imagination. Let yourself absorb it in, whatever it is you need to feed you and our world. It's not reserved solely for the wonderful children and the dreamers of this world, thank goodness, because we don't stay children forever. Imagination is the heartbeat of humanity. It's what sees a blank canvas and makes a mural. It's what looked into the never-ending darkness and brought us electricity and light. It's what made the television, the computer, and the iPhone. It's what made skyscrapers, airplanes, solar panels, rockets, telescopes. Imagination is what made the bridges that connect us across the water and the homes in which we sleep. Imagination is what keeps us going, and it's right here within you. Perhaps you can see foofies. Perhaps we can imagine dignity and respect as an embodied reality for everyone, including those of us made with rainbows, whose ears are brown, who eat only plants, who want to play together. It matters that we all practice our imaginations together. Together we can imagine a more loving world into being. May it be so.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, amazing place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place.
Hello, friends. We began today with Magic is Afoot by Karen Johnston. The word liturgy is a fancy word, meaning the formulation of a religious service. Its etymology tells us that it means the work of the people. In many Unitarian Universalist contexts, the verb worship is intransitive. We do not worship something or someone. We claim the act of worship as raising up that which is worthy. There is magic afoot, and reason, ritual and intellectual rigor, compassion, mutual care, delight, skepticism, deep comfort, disappointment, tears and laughter, challenge. It's all there. It's our Sunday service. Don't look too closely though. Behind the curtain, you might notice a dropped line, a skipped element on purpose or accidentally, a missed cue, one part going long, another one going shorter than anticipated, someone not quite on their game, a baton passed and dropped for all to see. But then again, do look closely. See teamwork at play. Adjustments made with a simple word or gesture, a deft drop, an even defter catch, a kind reminder, a gentle laughing at oneself, a collective forbearance, and assumed forgiveness, a truly, it did not matter. Sparks of synergy, moment of grace. To this we experience hearts expanded. Magic is afoot, bundled in the work of the people, raising up that which is worthy.
Thank you, Reverend Deanna, for all that you bring to our worship service and your beautiful reading. And now, let us center in this moment for a very important time during our service, a time that has grown increasingly important as we have not been able to be together physically. And that is our time of joys and sorrows. So now in these next few moments, I ask, as you are willing and able, please lift up in the chat box in your Zoom all of the joy we want to celebrate together. Please let us know your joys so we may light candles and lift these joys up. Also, as you are willing and able, please know that we are here to be witness to and hold your sorrows. So as you put those in your chat box, please know that there is a community praying for you, putting good thoughts out for you, and here to support you in any way that you may need. This is our time for joys and sorrows. And so as we listen to the beautiful hymn gathered here, please write your joys and sorrows in the chat box. And after our music time, we will light these candles together and be together in community.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, gathered here in the struggle of 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 the body, 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 gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
Thank you so much for your joys and sorrows. Laura Miller writes that she is so joyful to be back in New Orleans. Welcome back, Laura. We are so happy that you are here. Howard Milkey writes that he concedes the wonder of our election to the winner. To celebrate, he took a day off on Friday for a 20-mile bike ride on the North Shore Tammany Trace. What a joy. Thank you, Howard, for helping to find joy in this time and also to celebrate the joys that we do have. Marilyn Malone writes, and it's such a joy to have him with us here today, that Alan Malone celebrated his 78th birthday on Friday. He was actually born on Friday the 13th, and that they treated themselves to live music on the patio just for them to celebrate. Woo! And I told Alan that I would love, if he was going to share that birthday or Marilyn was going to share that, I will share also that it is a joy to have August Roque Van Young. It was his half birthday on Friday the 13th, and he is now 6 months old. A joy for that as well. All right. Let us light 2 more candles. And it is a joy to share some joyful things this week, is it not? So let us light a candle for all the joys that are not yet come forward in the surface, that are just rising up, that we don't feel yet ready to share. Know that we celebrate with you, and when you are here, we are ready. When you want to share, we are ready to cheer you on, as we did just moments ago. And of course, too, we know that with every joy, there are also sorrows, and that sometimes these sorrows are too heavy to share. So know that whatever sorrow you are carrying at this time, you are not alone. We love you and we care for you. And we thank you for being a part of this community church, Unitarian Universalist. And so with that, so many of you know that, as Alan mentioned earlier, Community Church Unitarian Universalist is a self-sustaining congregation. It is members, friends, and generosity that help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and far beyond. There is information in the chat box about how you can give online, by text, or you can even send us a check the old-fashioned way. We appreciate it all, and we appreciate each and every one of you so much. Thank you for your offerings, and thank you also for your pledges. It helps us continue to do this work of our larger community. We will now listen to a video, Gloria Steinem's mother, as you have time for our offertory.
I could hear the whistle blowing, I could see the train so clear, so I knew I must be going, and I knew my time was near. Didn't want to leave my lover, didn't want to leave that place, but I could not blow my cover and live my whole life in disgrace. There's a woman in the mirror, I don't know who she is. She lost herself to something, and now she's found her own abyss. She cloaks herself in blindness, never going very far. Sometimes it hurts less to disappear than remember who you are. Get broken, don't do everything you're told, don't leave your dreams unspoken or your heart out in the road. Keep hope alive and don't let mere survival be your goal. If I can tell you anything, it's this: hang on to your soul. If I left a rocky path, well, it was life I meant to sample, and then fate did have a laugh. She bottled up that flame inside me that I see now burns in you. Promise me that you'll chase after life all the ways I couldn't do. Don't get broken. Don't leave your dreams unspoken. If I can tell you anything, it's this. Just hang on to your soul, baby, hang on tight and don't let go.
Another World is Possible by Ashley Horan. Another world is possible. We say it again and again. Horizon, beyond our reach, beyond our imagination. This is our faith. Another world is possible. Not somewhere else. Another world, another lifetime, but here and now for all of us. Another world is possible. There is no single path toward that world, no one strategy or approach that will restore balance and heal brokenness, sow wholeness, free creation. There are many routes toward liberation, toward freedom, but the abundance of options does not absolve us of the responsibility of acting. Another world is possible. The call, the duty of each moment in history is to discern. Magic is afoot, bundled in the work of people, raising up that which is worthy.
Our second reading is Tend by the poet Nira Wahid from Salt. Number 1, rub honey into the night's back. Number 2, make sure the moon is fed. Number 3, bathe the ocean. Number 4, warm sing the trees. Tend. And now it is an honor and a privilege to introduce Reverend Deanna Vandiver and her sermon, Worthy Now, Liberation Love Notes and Collective Imagination Practice.
When the world is sick, can't no one be well. But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. I learned this song in a gathering of white and multiracial folks who had come together in Oakland, California 400 years ago in March of 2019 to practice healing from internalized whiteness with facilitator Sandra Kim. In the midst of our learning and our sharing, our acknowledging of painful truths, and a collective failure of imagination, we returned again and again to our breath, again and again to song. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. In his beautiful book of meditations, Breaking and Blessing, the Reverend Sean Dennison Parker asks us, can you believe in a world where no one is turned away for being wrong? Can you believe in a world where mistakes are simply ways of learning? Can you believe in a place where you can feel the lightness of not knowing? Room at the table for you and the one you call enemy. Can you believe in the improvisational nature of mystery and irrational compassion? Can you believe that training you to be a devil's advocate was a way of stealing your tenderness. Can you believe that you can get your tenderness back and become a chief collaborator with love? Oh, dear ones, can you imagine? Can we imagine together living from a place of tenderness that invites us to collaborate with love? The author Kate Elliott writes, humans are pattern makers. We structure the landscape around us into patterns to try to make sense of it. I mean landscape in the largest sense of the word, not just the physical environment, but also the historical, spiritual, political, cultural, and relational environment. Human beings are band animals. We evolved in groups, not as individuals foraging along through the Paleolithic wilderness, scorning companionship and cooperation as sops for the weak-willed. Every culture and every group of people within a culture tells stories about the past and present that help define how a people see themselves. We are pattern makers, friends, and we live within the consequences of the unequal power arrangements that have shaped the patterns of our lives. Together, we can imagine new patterns, woven out of threads of dignity and love, respect and compassion, generosity and joy. Each one of us is worthy now of love. Each one of us is capable now of loving. Lucas Johnson, author of Community Organizing as a Spiritual Practice, shares that we have a responsibility to hold the power of love that we know to be true and not allow the world around us to deaden that in ourselves. Can you believe that you can get your tenderness back and become a chief collaborator with love? As our spiritual ancestor, Hosea Ballou, a minister who converted to Universalism from the Baptist tradition in 1789, preached, "Hell is what human beings created in this world by cruelty and greed. Paradise is also available here and now, manifest in beauty and marked by relationships of justice and care." Here and now, friends. Each day, we are sold a new normal, and each day we can choose to begin again in love, imagining what is possible and working together to co-create a world where all of us are witnessed as worthy and enough. When I moved from Louisiana to Washington State in that summer of 2018, the Poor People's Campaign was in the midst of 40 days of action to lift up the 50th anniversary of the campaign, joined by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968, and to lift up again how far we were as a collective from that dream of liberation for everyone. I was graciously welcomed by the new state capital of Olympia on the traditional territories of the Coast Salish people, specifically the Nisqually and the Saxcoan Island people, was as a marshal for a resistance action. And friends, I do know that I was overwhelmed with grief and joy when I arrived and realized that it was June and the pride flag was flying over the state capitol in Olympia. What a beautiful vision. Such joy. It's gigantic. And then I grieved for my beloved community in Louisiana who maybe never even knew to imagine that the pride flag could fly over the state capitol in Baton Rouge. Let's imagine it now together, beloveds. Imagine what's possible. How symbols are so powerful. It was at this action that I met Comrade Naomi, a fierce beloved who has been organizing and inviting folks to stretch their hearts and minds and souls and imaginations for decades. And that summer, Naomi shared a powerful story, and with their grace, I share a bit of their wisdom with you now. Naomi told us, resist, teach, love against the odds. I don't have all the answers, they say. I can only say this, that if humans can create it, other humans can deconstruct it. And there are more of us than them. My grandmother taught me, don't be a good German. If racism rises, you fight. Hitler would have had no power if people didn't cooperate. Don't cooperate. So no matter who you are, throw monkey wrenches into this system of destruction and hate. Risk your lives to save your humanity, to save all our souls in small ways, in big ways, in covert ways. Use guile, use creativity, indeed, use joy. Indeed, use joy. Kai-Cheng Tom, author of the Lambda Award-nominated novel Fierce Femmes and Notorious Liars, a dangerous trans girl's confabulous memoir, lifts up the needs for collective liberation imagination in an interview with Guernica. She tells us recently, there's been a tendency in queer culture to be very apocalyptic in our view of the future. One can never be too focused on present needs, but I do think one can be too focused on present suffering. We sometimes get trapped in an echo chamber of only negative storytelling, which is terrifying. I remember reading an interview in Guernica with Dean Spade. The introduction begins, the average lifespan of a transgender person is 23 years. I was 21. Think about reading that. Or there's this trend of counting trans women's murders in the States. This is the 17th, 18th. We beat 2015's record. It's important to know that, but who's telling young trans people that they're going to live? Who's telling young trans people that they're going to have a future they'll enjoy? Who's promising to make that happen? Certainly, people are working to make that happen. So that message needs to be there too. Beloveds, how is our faith telling young trans people that they're going to have a future they'll enjoy? How are we collectively imagining a future when the gender binary is a curious concept that we learn about in history class and everyone grows into whomever they are without being shoulded or shamed or bullied into false categories? Friends, we can choose to practice together, imagining that it is possible for everyone to have a right to live, to truly live. To live without crushing debt, to live without fear of death at the knees or guns of police, to live without abuse, to live without hunger or poisoned water or climate destruction, to live with joy and creativity and love and enough. We are invited as a people of faith to imagine collective liberation together. And it's okay if the process is messy. Messy is an essential part of the human experience, from our bloody births to our full release at death. And as ACLU staff attorney Chase Strangio, who fights fatal violence and harmful policy which affects transgender people, reminds us, if everything needs to be perfectly packaged, we're never going to be okay with the reality that we're these really complex, messy, uncertain beings. The more we can embrace that, the more I think we can actually transform things. And so, friends, let us spend a moment beginning to imagine prison abolition. In 2015, our General Assembly of Unitarian Universalists voted for an action of immediate witness to support the Black Lives Matter movement, an AIW that included encouraging member congregations and all Unitarian Universalists to work toward police reform and prison abolition. And over the next 5 years, we did some collective imagining and educating and learning, organizing. And in the summer of 2020, this past June, we voted as a General Assembly of Unitarian Universalists for an action of immediate witness called Amen to Uprising, a commitment and call to action, which included this collective commitment. Therefore, we will create systemic change within our congregations by revising agreements and policies to create alternatives to policing, including developing plans for safety and accountability, by choosing not to involve police departments and deactivating security systems that mobilize police response when triggered, by engaging in creative, transformative justice processes, by pursuing abolition of policing systems within the congregations and institutions in which we have power, by moving congregational and institutional resources and endowments towards Black liberation organizing and long-term redistribution, and rooting ourselves in theologies of liberation and abolition. To be in solidarity with those who are oppressed, teaches the Reverend Dr. Paul Razor in his work, Faith Without Certainty, requires empathy and imagination. Our faith has offered a holy yes to imagining prison abolition. Some of us are deeply familiar with the criminal injustice system through our own family experiences. Some of us have borne witness with parents, siblings, grandparents, cousins, weeping, praying, and yelling on the courthouse steps over justice delayed, justice denied, lives stolen. And some of us were raised with a very different experience of the criminal injustice system, one that tells us we are special and protected. Or another story that humans are vile and will only be controlled by the threat of state violence, or perhaps some story on the spectrum among these. For those of you who appreciate a concrete call to action, you will be delighted to know that this sermon about imagination includes a few very direct invitations to action. As an affiliated community minister with the Church of the Larger Fellowship, Unitarian Universalist, it is my pleasure to invite y'all to participate in the UU letter writing ministry to prisoners. I'll make sure you get the application link in the chat box for this resource. And perhaps it can be shared more widely in other CCUU communications. As a letter writer to people imprisoned within our criminal injustice system, you will have the opportunity to nurture a relationship with a gloriously messy human being who deserves to understand that they are worthy now. And as you learn more about their life conditions, may your empathy strengthen and your imagination for the possibilities of prison abolition, for collective liberation, grow and grow. May you bring your experience into your learning faith communities, and may our collective imaginations grow with holy possibility for radical tenderness. A world where we are witnessed as beautiful and strong, however we look. Whatever our abilities and disabilities, however we have been judged before. There are a few requirements around the UU letter writing ministry to prisoners at the insistence of the criminal injustice system we are dealing through to reach imprisoned people. And if these requirements are barriers to you, you can still participate in the Worthy Now ministry in a myriad of ways. Sending stamps, joining in the annual holiday card collection, committing to a willingness to imagine the abolition of the carceral state, cultivating curiosity and courage to imagine that another world is possible. Imagine. Imagine together. When the world is sick, can no one be well? But I dreamt we was all beautiful and strong. May it be so, beloveds. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
Beloveds, what a joy to join you through the miracle of magic and science and technology and holy curiosity. Our parting blessing comes to us today in the words of the Reverend Steve Crump. That which is worthy of doing, create with your hands. That which is worthy of repeating, speak with a clear voice. That which is worthy of remembering, hold in your hearts. And that which is worthy of living, go and live it now. Friends, it has been a blessing to join y'all in worship once again. I hope you know that I cherish you and carry you always in my heart. Thank you for this gift of time together, beloveds.
Thank you for the gift that you have brought to our community today, Deanna, Reverend Deanna, and thank you all for the gifts that you bring each and every week to our community, Church Unitarian Universalist. After our postlude roll, we will be having our coffee hour. Dion is out of town this week and is unavailable to lead coffee hour. So I believe that another wonderful CCUU member, Sally Jackson, will be leading our coffee hour, time for conversation. So thank you, Sally. Thank you all. Be well this week.
I could see the train so clear, so I knew I must be going, and I knew my time was near. Didn't want to leave my lover, didn't want to leave that place, but I could not lower my cover and live my whole life in disgrace.